Breathing Room. And this week, we're going to be talking about why organizations with AI tools are still getting left behind and how much longer can yours afford to wait. I know that there is a lot of overwhelm and exhaustion by all these AI tools, and everyone's talking about how tired they are and that it's affecting how everyone works, and they're not getting the scale of value back from AI tools. And so this week, we're going to be talking about exactly what the urgency is, and also how do you actually embed AI and use AI tools in your organization, in your teams, so that you actually get that return on your time and investment. My name is Laura Chattington. I help organizations embed AI into their work streams, and so they can save time, create capacity, and build breathing room in their organizations. I'm here with Tara Lee, who has 20 years experience across health, social care, and the third sector, and has a background in commissioning over £500 million and experience working at a senior level and leading very complex change. And together we help organizations embed AI into their organizational rhythm, not as something extra, but as how work actually gets done. Hi, Tara Lee. Hi.
Hello.
And I know, go on,
Laura, you go.
I was saying that this is such an important part of this conversation, and it's a conversation that we've had in so many different directions. And I think in every industry I'm talking with people, I see it in LinkedIn posts, I see it everywhere. People are overwhelmed with all the AI tools, all the people selling AI, everyone, all this noise. But there is this pressure of change that AI is bringing into the business environment. There is a pressure of change from lots of different directions. And I think that the best place to start is really talking about that urgency of why, given the noise, you still need to get this done, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess last week we had an excellent session with Catherine Pitts from IC24.
Yeah.
And so many people have actually reached out to us following that episode just to say how fantastic it was in terms of being really clear about where the organization started, how then they started to build and started small and building their use of AI within the organization, but also just some really honest conversations about some of the challenges that the organization faced in terms of when they were considering how they look to embed AI within their organization. So we've had some really great conversations have sort of spilled off from that, haven't they, Laura, this week?
Yeah, 100%. And actually, I think, Catherine said so many good things, but I think there are so many good takeaways for us, but also for people watching it. And as you said, there's been so many people commenting to us about what was said, and she she gave such a powerful reference on why this really is urgent for non-technical people, right? So not the technical people, but for leadership teams, for management teams, for organizations. Why is this so important? And she talked very much about the fear that she personally had. She was very open, the fear of what AI means and all this urgency around that. But actually the comment that stuck with me was her saying, it's like trying to do advanced maths when you haven't done your times table.
Tables. I know. That resonated for me as well. And the widening gap, I think, between organizations that are starting to really tackle this head on now, and those that perhaps are a little bit more reserved and a little bit more fearful about maybe taking that leap in terms of how they might look to embed AI in their organizations.
Yeah. And I think the other factor is, and if you have any size organization, right, is that everybody's using AI, but actually also if you're not leading this from whatever structure, wherever you are, sort of exec team down, is that all your employees are scared that they're going to lose their job because of it, right? So yes, there is a competency part, but there is also that you've got to, it's the cultural thing. You've got to bring people with you, train them, and you can only do that by having that insight yourself. And it goes back to, you've got to know your times table, right? And then once everybody in the organization does, then you can do advanced maths. Then you can, then you can start really sort of putting in more complex sort of process and workflows, but you've really got to start on those basics with you and the whole team, so that your team isn't sort of sitting there going, oh God, am I going to be in a job in 6 months? Am I going to be in,
it's going to take my job? But and I've had a number of conversations with exactly that sort of underlying fear in the last few weeks with people, actually. So, I mean, in terms of thinking through then solutions and practicality for organizations around how can people start to think about tackling this and doing it now, because as Catherine said last week, there is an urgency around, don't let that gap widen. Get on that train now. Let's start having a conversation early. So I guess the things for me in terms of some of the key bits is starting small and building. So we often talk here about the unsexy things, meetings and so on, but they are the less risky areas that mean that people can test in a really safe way without then feeling like there could be this catastrophic implication either for themselves or the organization that could result in something significant happening. So definitely start small and build is really key, and start with those less risky areas.
And I think you're right, and it's across lots of things, right? There's so many layers of that, but it's starting small is like training your team, right? And I always say when I've been in these environments that the opportunities come from that, right? The opportunities come from that, and by training your team, you're not there's no risk, particularly, is there? There's no risk. Actually, it addresses some of the things that we've already mentioned about the fear that's going on. So training your team is it's not only is about starting small, which, as you say, and it's like the operational side of the business. So it's not advanced tech tools where there's a whole load of risk associated with that. There's cost associated with that. There's it can get messy, right? And therefore it's even more important that the people who have the knowledge of the organization are sitting there, informed and trained and have experience, so that they can address anything and everything that comes up. And they, it gives them that impact. There's that culture empowerment piece as well, right?
And it removes the fear of the unknown, doesn't it? So if we're proactively training our staff about the tools, potential risks or areas we need to look out for, how we can circumvent some of those in terms of, we've talked previously about things like hallucinations in terms of AI. So how can we minimize any of those risks? How do we resource and fact check and all of that sort of good stuff that we've talked about in the breathing room previously? It then helps people to think about, okay, now that I understand that, practically, how can we apply it? And where are the opportunities for us in our organization where we've got things that are sucking our time, our tasks, our mental capacity, where we can actually really legitimately use this for real reward and real return.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. And I think that for anyone who's watching this, who's feeling that, everyone feels the urgency, but they're like, oh, I don't know what to do and how to do this, that whole value piece is from the inside out, and there is no way external consultants can answer those questions for you. And this really is a way of addressing all of those points, putting in place a roadmap and a strategy for the organization, and leading the organization in a transformational environment that we're all working in, whether we like it or not, right? Whether we want to get on board or not, there's no choice. There is no choice. And that speed of change in the environment is building up that fear. So if you have been thinking about sort of how, not like that high-end technology piece, but just organizationally for you, for your leadership teams, for your teams, you know, to really help build that skill and therefore create those opportunities and manage that fear, and you want to have a conversation with us, then please get in touch on LinkedIn or comment below, and we can really help you walk that path, right? And as Catherine says, you know, if you don't do your times tables now, the further mass of AI is going to be very, very difficult. And, you know, the change is going to be difficult. And it's not about being left behind. It's about not being able to compete because you haven't done the easy maths. So we look forward to connecting with you, and